Hello everyone and welcome to today's session on Viewport Integration for IBM Maximo. I'm Paula Lloyd, the Maximo pre-sales consultant here at MACS, and I'm joined by Jerry McClarkin from the Radial Software Group, who we've partnered with to bring Viewport AI to the Maximo community. Just some general housekeeping. Slides and a copy of the recording will be available after the presentation, and we will address any questions coming through at the end of the webinar. So please feel free to submit and engage throughout the presentation. For those of you joining us for the first time, just some brief introductions. MACS is an IBM Gold business partner operating across 6 European countries and established for 23 years. We have recently partnered with Radial Software Group, who are based in the Netherlands with a global customer install base. Today's topic is Viewport AI for Maximo Integration. Viewport is a software solution for the process-driven industry. Powered by AI, it contains innovative ways of searching, indexing, cross-referencing, and viewing information from different document management systems, data silos, and your ERP system. Technicians will have access to up-to-date data at their fingertips, regardless of their devices. So what is Viewport? Viewport is an AI-powered software that creates a single view of all your technical data in one information portal. It will save engineers hours of searching for documents relating to the assets they're maintaining, thus increasing the wrench time across your business. It allows for improved collaborations between your various departments, your maintenance and engineering departments, by identifying relationships between documents, assets, and locations that you may not be aware of. How can Viewport improve your business? By using a simple deployment. All that's needed is a standard browser. We support Safari, Chrome, Opera, Firefox, for example. The automatic link discovery will highlight relationships you would not have been aware of, which leads to continuous data improvements within your maintenance records, eradicating outdated and inconsistent as well as duplicated data. This ultimately will give the users a holistic overview of an up-to-date data in a simple user interface within Maximo. Just some existing users and some statistics. Some recognizable names within the Maximo world. Viewport, as you can see, Viewport is used across various industries from your renewable, oil and gas, utilities, FM, and various manufacturing. So for today, we're going to have a look at two scenarios. One scenario is our technician, Paul. He'll be inspecting a methanol pump, and he'll be required to have a look at the safety manual attached, determine the isolation procedures, locate the safety manual, and he will open an adjacent work order, and he will assign and complete both work orders. The second scenario will be creating a new asset, associating it to a location, and showing how Viewport will identify and make available all the documents related to that location for the operator. We probably won't have time to do the work order, but those familiar with Maximo will know the relationship. Everything is the same. So if he creates a work order or a location, the documents will be made available. Without further ado, I'm going to go live into the products. So I've currently got Maximo open. Those of you familiar with Maximo, I'm going to go straight into the work order tracking. And I'm going to enter my work order, which I've prepared for today. So we've got here a methanol pump and inspection, and typically a technician will rely on the job plan, or he will have to have a look at any attachments by browsing the libraries associated with this work order. With the Viewport integration, we've created a tab here which identifies the location that the work order is assigned to. So when we go to the Viewport tab, it's picking up all the documents with the reference. I'm just going to minimize this so we can have a wider view. So it's picking up all the references of the P-788. So we've got a high pressure separation operating manual. We've got a low pressure operating manual. We've got the P&ID diagram, and we've got some procedures. So the technician will simply open the document and utilize the automatic hotspot. So when he opens a document, we can see it's a 20-page manual, but Viewport will lead the eyes directly to where the reference is in the document. So straight away, the technician need only concern himself with this paragraph where it tells him that during a normal operation, the line is isolated by means of a two-hand valve. However, in this case, the methanol injection pump P-788 will be isolated from the umbilical line. So scrolling up, we can see that this location is referenced twice in this document. So if I skip to the next location point, it then guides the technician into the actual chemical injection and how he needs to maintain this line and what he needs to do. So I'm just going to go back into the low pressure separation manual. And again, we can see it's quite a big document. There's only one reference, so we can scroll straight down and it's telling the technician that the flow line is fitted with an injection point for the methanol supplied by the methanol pump P-788, and it's taken a suction from the tank TA-788. So within Maximo, the technician can click on the links and it brings up a box which gives you the properties. So the properties are all configurable based on what you want your technicians to see. So currently we've got here, you've got the asset ID, some certification dates, possibly the last inspection dates. You can have the manufactured serial numbers and so on and so forth. But these are all configurable to whatever you require. Looking at this tank -788, we can see that there are 3 documents referencing to this tank. So again, you've got the high and the low pressure separation, and you've also got a P&ID diagram. If there were any more documents in your SharePoint system or wherever your document management system you're using, and it's reference -788, Maximo and the Viewport integrator for Maximo will highlight and pick that up. On the 3rd tab, we've created a tab where the technician can see straight away if there's any outstanding Maximo work orders. In this instant, there is an inspection. So as a technician, I'm at this location and I can, if I've got the time and I can assign myself this job, I can open this in Maximo. So it's going to open a new work order in Maximo. I can see it's waiting to be scheduled. But as a technician, I can take ownership of this job and I can complete the task whilst I'm doing the other work order. So just to reiterate, if I go to the Viewport tab on this work order, the location is TA-788, I will see the 3 documents that was mentioned in the previous tabs. So I'm going to go back to my original work order, minimize this, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to open my P&ID diagram just so I can have a bit of situation awareness. And again, it looks quite a busy diagram, but Viewport will highlight exactly where on the P&ID I need to be. So I'm just going to zoom this in so you can have a better visual. Okay, so we can see it's the P-788, the methanol pump. And if I use the icon here, it will bring up what's called a traffic light system. So the traffic light system is showing us where the data is accurately labeled within Maximo, within your document system. If I click on any of this, it will show me some information about the diagram. And again, it will give me the same sort of information if there's an outstanding work order or any references around this document. So I'm just going to slide back to where we are. So the technician will have an option if he needs to, he can do a markup on this document if he needs to by highlighting the pencil, and he can put some notes in here. There's also a section here where he can add some notes, and then he can print this document off and re-upload it within his document system, and it goes into a separate file, but it will be associated to the location if he uses the correct naming convention. So as long as he tags this as P-788, when someone else opens up the Viewport tab, that scanned document will appear at the bottom. So again, we've got some procedures so he can have, this is similar to like an inspection form. So it's giving him some options to check and verify. He can date when he's doing this. So this document is a logic document, and it tells the user exactly what needs to be done when he's opening and closing the injection system. So once a technician is aware of all the documentation around the work order, he can then proceed to close off the job and complete his job as he would normally do. So I'm going to go back to the home screen and I'm going to open up the assets, and I will show you how we can link the assets and the locations to the viewport documents. Currently, we've got a query base where all the assets with associated viewport documents can be listed. But if we want to create a new asset on the fly, I'm going to name it PL706. And it's a grease tank. So if we have a look, first of all, at viewport, we can see that there is no items here because I haven't associated it to a location yet. But once I go back to the asset screen and I select a location, if I select any one of these locations, it will bring up any documents associated with that location. Similarly, if you're creating a work order or a new location, once again, it will do the algorithm will search and it will highlight any documents in your SharePoint system and match it. So I'm going to show you the other side, which is the actual portal, Viewports. And depending on how your organization is set up, you may have multiple sites. In this case, we currently have 2 sites. For today, we're going to look at the processing platform because it's got 37 files and 500 tags. So over to the left, we've got the connected system. So it's connected to the asset register, it's connected to a filing system, and it's also connected to your CMMS Maximo. To the left, you can see that Viewport has the capability of reading over 140 different file formats. So you can see we've got the health and safety manuals, we've got different operating manuals, we've got procedures, drawings. You can even have your 3D models. So, you know, Maximo is shipped with BIM integration viewer. So if you do have your AutoCAD and your 3D models, and you do have the associated BIM viewer for Maximo, your technicians will have the capability of viewing the 3D models in Maximo. Similarly, you can have movies. In the interest of time, I'm not going to load up the movie, but you can have your calibrate pressure safety valve. So you can have a lot of information at the fingertips for your technicians. So I'm going to have a look at one of the P&ID documents. Again, it looks like a quite busy document, but what it says here, it's giving you some figures over here, and it's telling you that within this document, it's actually identified 118 tag numbers, and it's giving you an opportunity to clean up the data by telling you that you've got 48 possible references. So I'm going to zoom in and talk you through it. So as I mentioned before in Maximo, the green indicates the data is clean, it's matched into your CMMS system, it's labeled correctly in your document system. You can have the properties, it tells you where it's located. So in this instant, Maximo, and you can again see the work orders. So if I'm a planner or a scheduler, I can have a look at my P&ID and I can see, okay, I've got 2 jobs here waiting for inspection and waiting to be scheduled. They're similar jobs, possibly from a PM, and it's generated. So I can open one of these in Maximo, and the integration shows it opens directly into the work order. And because I know it's duplicated, I can cancel this work order because of the duplication. Within the traffic light system, if it's a red, so let me just zoom in again a bit closer, it will tell you that this line number is just on the drawing, but where you've got an actual asset or location, it tells you that this is a possible tag number reference, but it's not found in your source system. So in terms of management of change and KPIs, you can use these the possible references to clean up your data. Where you've got an amber box, it gives you possible references. So again, you can use it as a tool for data integrity within the business. You can also do markups, so you can create different markups. And when you do a markup, so you've downloaded this PNID, you've made your different markups and you've uploaded it again, it will go into a separate file, so not to override the actual document. So where a technician has made an adjustment on a mobile phone and he's scanning something, you will have a folder here for maybe mobile phone uploads. In this case, it's from a photocopier, a Xerox machine. So if I zoom this in again, we can see that the technician has made some notes. So he's essentially gotten rid of one of the valves, and he's put in a new valve, he's installed a new valve, and he's made his notes. And if you scroll up to the left, he's made some notation here. If I zoom in, he's just done exactly what I've said. So he's added a level control valve, and he's removed a separate valve. So when it comes to reviewing your documents, if you do it annually, you can then include step 9 and 10 for future references and for compliance issues. So I'm just going to come out of the scan document and go back to the home page and take you back into the PowerPoint just to finish up with a couple more slides and have some questions at the end. So just to tie it all in, you can improve your data quality with Viewport for Maximo, and you can achieve operational excellence by removing outdated, inconsistent, and duplicated data from both your CMMS system as well as your document management system. Viewport is really good because it's not taking up a lot of space, and having a robust algorithm, it finds and adjusts any mistakes that you might have made. Its consistent cross-referencing of your location tags can be linked to your KPIs, which in turn you can use this as a tool for management of change and compliance by acting on the suggested changes which Viewport will identify. So why Viewport and why MACS? We're geographically placed to support a global install base. Both Radial Software Group and MACS, we are supporting customers across the world. Viewport has support for 140 plus file formats. So, from your PDFs to your AutoCADs. Viewport quickly analyzes, it recognizes gaps in your data, it automatically finds the tags, and it generates clickable links for your technicians to use within the CMMS system, saving you time, saving wrench time. The intelligent algorithm will extract information from scanned drawings, as you've seen, and this will increase your asset reliability, your data integrity, and it will also increase efficiency from the technicians. So we've also got some quotes, and we've also got some videos at the end, which you will have in this presentation. And that brings us to question time. So we can introduce you to Peter Brink, and he is the Managing Director of Radial Software Group. So Peter, we've had a question about the integration process and what's a typical integration? How long does it take to have it integrated into Maximo?
Well, the integration is there, of course. The connector we have built together with you. We have built the connector, so it's just installation, implement, and configure, and that will take Well, depends on the difficulties we face during an implementation, but between 5 and 10 days.
Well, then that brings us to the end of today's webinar. Feel free to reach out to us if you've got any questions that you want to take offline. And I hope you enjoyed today's presentation, and I want to thank you for your time in joining us this morning.